Hi everyone, Phil here. I wanted to, in this video, talk a little bit about how to choose keys when you're leading worship. Just a little introductory video about that. Why do we care about what keys our songs are in? Why can't we just choose any key at all? Three main reasons. Firstly, it's important to choose a key that suits your voice. It's important to choose a key that helps the congregation, so not just you, but the other people that are involved in the worship. And it's also helpful to choose a key that enables different songs to flow together in a set, so you've got kind of flow from one song to another. However, the middle reason, choosing a key that helps the congregation, I'd say is not actually as important. I'd say it's far more important to choose a key that suits your voice. And in fact, I'd say that's even more important than the flow reason. So number one, important, choosing a key that suits your voice so that you can lead in the most confident way, something that enables you to lead people, utilising your voice as best you can. A little bit of a cheat sheet, just to totally shortcut thinking if you haven't got time, or if you just want a quick rule. The song is sung by a guy, then take the song down 3 semitones. If you're a guy, but the song is sung by a girl on the recording, then take it up 3 semitones. Okay, the headline there really is, in general, guys sing in a higher key than girls. But nevertheless, the key that guys sing is actually a little bit higher than the one that girls sing in. Okay, so for example, I would sing a song like Great Things in G. Okay, now let's get into these 3 reasons. So firstly, choosing a key that suits your voice. Now, what I'm going to do to explain some of this is go into a little bit of music theory. Music theory can feel a bit painful to get going with if you don't feel like you know much about music theory. It can feel a bit painful in the short term, but it's really, really helpful in the medium and long term. So I'd really encourage you to invest a bit of time in understanding some music theory. And one of the key things we're going to talk about today is just note names. It's almost the most basic part of music theory there is, that each note has a name. So there's a major scale, and each of those notes that I've just played, we give them a letter. Okay, this is probably fairly basic, but it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If you don't really know about that, then go away, find a video on YouTube, learn about the note names. Also, I've got piano here. It's really helpful to have a piano or some kind of instrument that you can use to do some of this stuff. You might not have that luxury. You might not have a piano. You might not have room for a piano. Fear not. You can just go on a website and find one for yourself. So if Google search online piano, and a whole load of different ones come up. The one I like is pianoplays.com. It looks a bit like this. And instantly, if I press the Z key, it plays all these notes. And you can say I want to play this note. I just press Q. So choosing a key that suits your voice. Now, you've got a kind of like chest voice bit and a head voice bit. Now, from left to right is going higher and lower in pitch. So right down here, towards the left, we're low in pitch, just very low. And up here, it goes very high, up in the head voice. This little thing that I've drawn here is indicating how powerful your voice is at these different pitches. So down here is kind of thin, and up here it's like really thick. Thin means not very powerful, and thick up here means your voice is a lot more powerful. There's a lot more power in it. You'll know this kind of intuitively, but when you sing very low, uncomfortably low, you've got a lot less power. If I sing All Things New, the smash hit, in the middle of the darkness, if you try and do that as well, light of the world has come, you'll notice that it's quite hard to sing that powerfully. It's also hard to sing it well. However, as you move up in pitch, if I then try and sing that same song in a much higher pitch, in the middle of the darkness, somewhere like that, suddenly I've got access to all this power. That's in your chest voice. Then, when you reach the limit of your chest voice, you've then got your head voice. Physiologically, you'll switch the way that you make that note, and it's suddenly a less powerful way of making that note, projecting that note with your vocal cords, but you can go a lot higher. So I can then sing, in the middle of the darkness, light of the world. That's my head voice, but it's just not as powerful. So the ideal is, if we look at the next slide, you're most powerful at this point here. And that is where we want to aim to be singing our choruses and bridges, in this zone. However, you'll also notice that our voice is probably more comfortable, not right at the end here where it's most powerful, but it's probably most comfortable somewhere about here. So a comfortable range for me to sing that same song would be somewhere like this. In the middle of the darkness, Light of the world has come. Feels a lot more comfortable, especially in this kind of like living room situation with lovely plants. It's more comfortable than singing in the middle of the darkness. I'm having to project a lot more. It feels a lot more kind of confrontational even and aggressive singing at that pitch, but it is more powerful when I sing it higher. And the temptation when we're picking keys is to just sit our choice in this comfortable zone. And we're often at home when we're choosing a key for our worship set, right? To be honest, we don't want to feel embarrassed by projecting our voice so much. So we often will choose to sing songs in this comfortable range. And, you know, I sing in the middle of the darkness. Phil, that sounds great. You sound angelic. Let's use that key. This isn't the most powerful space. And actually, we want to be aiming to get our songs so they're sitting towards the end of this register. To do that, you need to know what your top note is, okay? So you'll notice this diagram, it's really thick here, and then it goes off a cliff edge, doesn't it, when we hit our head voice. So right at the end of our chest is our most powerful note, and then after that, it kind of like immediately fails, and we go into head voice. So we need to know what that top note is, or roughly on one or two notes, where that is. So you need to try and figure that out. So where is that note? This is where you take to your keyboard and you just play all the notes, try and sing them and try and figure out. So for me, that's a G, La, easy. C, La, I can still do it. D, La, E, La, F, La. I'm starting to feel really uncomfortable now and I can tell my voice is breaking. And if I, try and hit a G, for example, I can't really do it. And that's the point I'll be going into my head voice, which is not as powerful. So I know from previous experience that I want to be hitting a D or an E as my absolute top note. E really is an absolute top, and usually I aim for D to be my top note. So E is kind of like a backup. So you need to find that out. Let's go through the process of figuring out how to choose a key. Number one, play the recording, find out what key it's in. Okay, so we're going to use All Things New, the smash hit. It's a great song. Why wouldn't we use it? Firstly, I need to find out what key it's in. How do I do that? Well, navigate yourself to, either you can figure that out yourself if you know how to do that, or you can go to multitracks.com. It's like an industry standard for worship songs. It's where we buy all our backing tracks, so it's a really reliable source of information. Type the search. If I go All Things New, KXC, where's it gone? Right here, it should tell me once it loads that the key is in C, and also interestingly it tells you the BPM if you ever want to know that. So this song is in C. Next, find the top note in the chorus or the bridge. Okay, so this is where our music theory starts to come in. A song will be in a key, so this song is in the key of C. 'Cause in the middle of the darkness, that's how that song goes. Not only is it in a certain key, this is in C major, but it will also have a top note. So the highest note that the melody sings in the chorus or in the bridge. Either in the chorus or the bridge, there'll be a note that's the highest, or they might have the same highest note. And we need to find that note. So I go back to Spotify and start playing this. Okay, so in that chorus, power of your mighty love, that note there is my top note. So I need to find this on my keyboard. If I just get my keyboard up here, so power of your, that's the note, power of your, what note is that? There it is. Power of your mighty love. Okay, so the top note in the chorus is an E. Let's go back to the track and check the bridge. So did you hear that note on love? It's love or never. That is the top note of the bridge. So let's again try and find that using our keyboard. That was the chorus one, the E. Love, I think it's higher than that. I think it's that one, F. Love will never fail. Okay, so we have a top note of this song, which is an F. Love will never fail. Do you remember I told you that I can't sing an F? That's why that sounded bad. So this is the top note. I've done that. I've figured out what my top note is. Now, part 3, work out how many semitones you need to move this note by, up or down, to match yours. So we're talking about top notes. What was my top note? Well, do you remember I said my top note personally is a D, and this song has a top note of an F. If I go back to my keyboard, I need to work out how to get this top note of an F down to a D. That's my top note. So how many steps are there, or semitones as we call them, to get from the F to the D? So F, down 1, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm on the D. So we do include the black notes as well. That's how I went F, E, E flat, D. So this is down 3 semitones. Part 4, change the key in exactly the same way. Okay, so do you remember what key this song was in? This was in C major. This is in C, and I want to do that same movement to the key. So I'm going down 3 semitones. So starting at C, 1, 2, 3, and I land on A. And so therefore, this song is going to be good for me to sing this song in A major. Okay, so let's just try that. If I play a chord of A major. In the middle of the darkness, light of the world has come. So I'm now playing that in the key of A major, and to me that feels a lot more comfortable. I'm still having to kind of like go for it a little bit vocally, but that's exactly what we want. I've chosen the key, it's A. Part 5, try it out, if possible. You might not be able to do this at this point, or that might be something that you need some extra help with learning how to try it out once you found that key. How do I then sing it in that key? And we could talk more about that at a later date. Okay, so the key points about suiting your voice. Number 1, music theory basis. That's how we're doing this. We're doing this with a bit of music theory, short-term pain, long-term gain. Number 2, aim to be at the most powerful part of your voice in the chorus, or occasionally the bridge if this is the climax of the song. The reason for this is you might think, well, let's just choose a key that's comfortable for all parts of the song. The chorus is the climax of the song, and often where we want to be kind of like declaring, or we want to encourage the congregation to enter into the song the most in the chorus, right? It's often the pinnacle of what we're singing about. And so we need our vocal to match that musically. We need our voice to be at its strongest in the chorus, because that's going to help us to lead it. Or occasionally this might be the bridge, if the bridge is kind of like the climax of the song. For example, Here For You by Matt Redman, the climax of the song is the bridge. We welcome you with praise, Almighty God of love. So you'd want to be choosing your key around that bit of the song. Number 3, don't worry too much about the verses. What I really mean here is just don't get bogged down on the verses. Like hone in on the chorus and the bridge to choose your key. And sometimes the verse will have an even higher note than the chorus or bridge. If that's the case, either you could lower the key down a little bit more to help you with that, or you could use your head voice in the verse, or you could get someone else to sing the verse, or you could even sing the verse down an octave. There's a few songs that do this, like Beautiful Name has a highest note in the verse, but it's fairly unusual. Often a verse is a lot lower than the chorus. So using that Here For You example again, if we're here, we welcome you with praise, Almighty God of love. That's the bridge, kind of chorusy bridge bit. Fill the skies, we are here for you. You'll notice that's a lot lower than welcome you with praise, Almighty God of love. So often our verses are a bit lower, so we don't need to worry about those so much. In general, try to avoid your head voice. It's just not as strong, not as powerful, especially for someone like myself, not really as confident with it. Some people, they might be a lot more confident, in which case go for it, but I'd say in general, just try to avoid your head voice, because also the congregation won't really be singing using their head voice either. Finally, 5, resist the temptation to sit the chorus in your living room comfort zone. So, like I said before, it's really tempting to choose a key in the comfort of your own home, in your living room, surrounded by your greenery, and lower in your voice so that it just feels a bit more comfortable. But try and choose the keys so that they sit right at the top of your register, so they're the most powerful. Finally, build up a list of your songs. You don't have to go through this process every single time you select a song. Once you know what key you do a song in, then write it down. You don't have to go back to it again. So we've done choosing a key that suits your voice. Let's quickly look at choosing a key that enables the songs to flow together. I've chosen a set here: Great Things, Cornerstone, Great Are You Lord, Holy and Anointed One. I've put them all in G, and as you'll notice, it's lovely. I go from one song to another, and they will flow quite nicely. So this is one of the reasons why we would want to choose songs in the same key to their like next door neighbour in the set. So let me just again demonstrate this. So say I'm coming out the back of Cornerstone, so I'm going to do this in G. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all. Excuse the wrong notes. And now I can stay in G, and I can almost go straight into Great Are You Lord at my own leisure. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. This is great because it means I don't have to stop the song, change the key, start it again. It means I can, to a certain extent, kind of flow seamlessly from one to the other. And it also, kind of almost more importantly, enables me to have a bit of room to be spontaneous between the two songs. How did I arrive at these keys? Well, most of these songs I knew that I do them in G, and that's why I chose them. So sometimes you'll choose songs so that they are the same key, right? Now, in this case, I knew that I do Cornerstone personally in A, but for the sake of this set, I decided to do it in G so that the songs flow. And now this is fine because we're going down 2 semitones. The top note of Cornerstone, if I'm singing it in A major, the top note of this song, I happen to know, will be in E. I know I said my top note is D, sometimes E. In this case, I think it's in E. For this song, it seems to work. If I want to do this in G instead, so we're in A major. If I want to do it in G major, it's 2 semitones down from A. So A flat, G. So this means my top note will come down by 2. So my top note was E, remember? And that means I can go down by 2 semitones. So now the top note of Cornerstone will be D, and that's fine. It's still pretty up there, still lots of energy, we're great. So this kind of change works. So I've kind of like manipulated the keys a little bit just so that they flow together. It's not my like perfect choice for a key for Cornerstone, but it, for the sake of the flow of the set, is pretty good. However, sometimes this doesn't work. As another example, Build My Life. Build My Life, I've said, I'm going to do this in G as well. Now, I know for my own voice that usually I do Build My Life in F. This means the top note of the song, if I'm doing it in F major, the top note of the song is a D. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm. That note there. Firm is the top note of the song. I just know from experience that if I try and sing that song any higher, then there's quite a lot of notes that are really up there and I just really struggle. Now, what's happened in this set, instead of playing an F major, I've taken it up 2 semitones. So here's F and I've gone up to G. So that means my top note is now being taken up by 2. So it was at D and now it's going to be up by 2 semitones. Now my top note of this song is going to be E. Because I've moved this top note up, especially in this song, that's just going to be a bit too high for me. So you've got to be particularly wary if you're pushing songs up, because that means your top note's going up and you might be starting to compromise your voice. I know that if I try and sing Build My Life in G, yes, I can hit the top E note, but there's so many high notes in that song that basically my voice will just tire and get quite exhausted. In this instance, changing Build My Life from F to G, I'd say, is not necessarily a great idea. It would be actually better just to not change the key, even though we're sacrificing the flow, right? Remember, most important is suiting your voice. Next most important is the flow. Here I've got the song Nothing Else at the end. Now, this is in a completely different key, D flat major, which for the music theorists amongst you will know is almost like the worst change from G, because it's a tritone up from G. However, I would say, guys, this is completely fine. It's okay to choose songs that aren't in the same key. It's okay to change keys in your set. It's fine. You can do it. If we do something like this, instead of Nothing Else being at the end, if we do it in the middle of 2 songs that are in G, so we started Great Things in G, then Nothing Else in D flat, and then we're changing back to G after that. Maybe this is less of a good idea. Why don't we put these songs that are in G, why don't we put them together so that we kind of get that win of the flow of the set, and then Nothing Else at the end might be a little bit better. The other thing to mention about this kind of order is that, you know, Nothing Else is quite an intimate song. And in terms of the journey of worship, Great Things, Cornerstone, they're kind of like high praise, talking about who God is, who Jesus is. Nothing Else really a song of intimacy. I just want you, it says. Leaving that maybe to the end of the set is probably maybe a better choice, also kind of thematically. Finally, let's just think quickly about choosing a key that helps the congregation. Although this is less important, it's still important. I'd say this is particularly relevant in more intimate gatherings or small groups. If you've got like 50 people or less in your congregation, or if it's a small group setting like a hub, you're just in someone's living room, people are just going to be more self-aware. They're not going to be as willing to belt out their voice. And you as the worship leader, and you're not going to be as willing to belt out your voice. It's going to feel kind of stark in contrast to everyone else singing a little bit quieter. So that's where I think we need to think about the key for the sake of the congregation particularly. And in these kind of settings, I would say lower your top note by 2 semitones at least. Let's think about all things new. I've already told you that for me, A major would be a good key for this. C major is what the recording is in, the Great Rich Decaf singing it really high. It's just too high for me. A major is in the middle of the darkness. That's good, but in a small group setting, that would still be too high. I'm there going, in the middle of the darkness, light of the world has come. And everyone else is just like, they don't want to go there. So I would say lower it by a few more semitones. So maybe I take this right down to E. Because in the middle of the darkness, light of the world has come. And now that's sitting a lot less in the like powerful end of my voice, and now I'm in the more like comfortable spectrum, the living room comfort zone. And that would be a really good choice for a small group or a hub. When you're leading in those environments, especially if there's no lyrics, just consider leading more heavily on very well-known songs, just so that the congregation can sing it with gusto. Okay, people are more comfortable with singing songs that they know well. It's kind of an obvious statement, especially if they know the lyrics. Just to help people really engage, I think it is kind in those smaller settings to go for easier to sing, more well-known songs that people can really buy into. Great, that's it. If you've got any questions, please just do ask me. I'll try and make a few more videos like this. Happy music theorying. Thanks very much.